Hi grade 9s, we are looking at mortgages and we're looking at trying to figure out how they're different to a regular, like the kind of compound interest questions we've looked at. We're going to be exploring how to find out how much is in the account each month as well, how much is owed each month. So the obvious difference between what we've been looking at before and a mortgage is that we don't just pay back a mortgage at the very end of the loan. We pay back a little bit every month. So it's a little bit like paying rent, except we're paying this to the bank. So we're going to explore this example. And I've chosen some numbers to try and make things easy, but the numbers are not very realistic. Okay, so that's just something to bear in mind. I've chosen them to make the calculations a bit easier. So we are going to imagine that we have borrowed €20,000, which is not going to probably buy us much in Munich. And the interest rate is extremely high, it's 12% per year. So every month we have to pay a bit of interest to the bank, so that increases how much we owe, but then we are going to repay some money. So it's like a bit like our rent. It's going to get paid to the bank, so that will bring the balance down. So if we are paying 12% interest per year, the interest we're going to pay each month will be 1%, because we're going to share that 12% out across the year. So over the course of the year, we've paid 1% 12 times. And then we need to choose how much we're going to repay. So maybe we're going to repay €500 per month. Now obviously changing these values will change how quickly we pay back the loan, how much interest we pay in total, and so on. So playing around with these will have some effects on that. Okay, so in month 0, we're at the very beginning and we have borrowed 20,000. So the balance we have to repay is €20,000. So let's think about the first month. We're starting out with this principal, so like how much we owe at the start, of 20,000. We need to find the interest that we owe, so that is 1% of 20,000. Okay, so I'm just going to do a little T-table up here. So I've got my money and I've got my percentage. I know that I owe 20,000. I know that's all of my money. And I want to find 1%. Okay, just like we've been doing throughout the unit, I can use division. So I'm going to divide by 100. So that gets me 200. Oops. There we go. So 1% of 20,000 is 200. So I owe an extra €200 now. But I am going to pay off 500 of it. So how much have I got? Well, I started out with 20,000. I had to pay an extra 200. Well, I owe an extra 200 from the interest, but I'm paying back 500. Okay, grab your calculator, use it to find the balance. I think you should find that it is 19,700. Please pause the video as you're going through this if you want to take more time to think about what I'm doing. That's the advantage of having a video. Okay, so let's take a look at month 2. So at month 2 at the start, I owe 19,700. That's what we just calculated from month 1. So I've got to do the same thing. I've got to find out the interest. I'm going to have to take off my repayment and calculate my new balance. I would encourage you to pause the video and have a go at doing that. So hopefully you started out by finding out what 1% is. So this is our new total. We're finding 1%. So once again, we're just dividing by 100. So that should be 197. You'll notice the interest is a little bit less because we owe a little bit less. So to find my balance, I had 19,700 that I owed. It's increased by 197. And it's decreased by my repayment. I've paid off another 500. Right, let's check this. 19,700. I add on my interest. Oops. And I take off what I repay. And now I owe 19,397. Let's just check that. Yep. Okay, so what I would like you to do is to keep on working through that. I want you to find out months 3, 4, and 5. Pause the video and have a go at calculating that. Okay, hopefully you've finished that off. I will fill out the rest of this table so you'll be able to find that on OneNote. Obviously, this is a process that is quite time consuming. It's very repetitive. It's not very interesting because we're doing the same thing again and again. If you think about what the words I've been trying to use, we've been talking about computational thinking. What we're doing at the moment is an algorithm. It's a process that we keep on repeating. Now, algorithmic thinking is really helpful because it frees up our mind a little bit to think about problems and to deconstruct problems. But the other thing is, if it is something that is very algorithmic, we should be able to get a machine to do that. So in the next part of the lesson, we're going to be looking at how we can use a spreadsheet to do this for us to streamline our calculations. So that's the next step.